offer up any information on that. All right, nothing like maybe wait.
No, well, I just like as far as like.
Look, I have a long history of being separated from my friends.
It's okay, I'm fine.
You all right over there?
I was just saying.
Good evening, Blackhawk School District. Welcome to the March 20th regular voting session of the Blackhawk School Board of Directors. We're so happy that you're all here tonight for our meeting. Thanks for coming. At this time, would you please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adam, would you please call roll?
Sure thing. Mrs. Klein?
Here.
Mr. Huziak? Dr. McCosy? Mrs. Mansell?
Here.
Mr. Show?
Here.
Dr. Sprinker?
Here.
And I'm here. Mr. Wisner? Here. And Mr. Zachlitz?
Here.
You have 7 and 9.
Thank you. There was an executive session prior to tonight's meeting to discuss personnel, safety, and legal matters. Mrs. Clark, do we have a solicitor's report tonight?
No, nothing to report, thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the administrators and superintendent update. Do we have any updates tonight?
I do update and recognition, if I can kind of roll those together, that would be okay. So a couple updates. Today, our middle school hosted an event with multiple districts throughout our region, not just county, but multiple counties. And two of our teachers who are taking part in Agency by Design, which is a learning-centered focus, led design challenges with other teachers, our students, our staff. It was a lovely event. And the theme that resonated through the entire event was our sense of community. And that is a core pillar in our strategic plan. And I thought it was very validating that they even noticed this when people came into our building that have never been here before, that they noticed that sense of community that we had. So it was a wonderful day. Carol was able to stop by and share some insight with us as well. So, thank you again, middle school, for opening your doors and welcoming strangers for a great learning experience. The second thing that I would like to speak to is, thankfully, our high school was recently recognized by U.S. News and World Report as one of the best high school rankings. So, they may have received this before, but congratulations, Mr. Ford, and to your entire faculty and staff for this prestigious ranking. It's based upon 6 criteria, which is college readiness, 30%, college curriculum breadth, 10%, state assessment proficiency at 20%, graduation rate 10, and underserved population 10, and state assessment performance 20%. There were some methodology changes in the past year that went through, but overall, that's the criteria that the high school was evaluated on, and I'm glad you came out as you did. So congrats again to that.
Yesterday, the high school student council took a field trip to Dave & Buster's in Pittsburgh. All members in attendance had a great time playing arcade games and eating yummy food. Every year, student council works super hard to provide a fun and inclusive environment for the high school, so it was great when they get to do a little something fun for themselves. On Monday, March 17th, the varsity lacrosse team won their home opener against Seneca Valley 22-1. Also on Monday, the varsity softball team won their opener against Hopewell 2-1. Overall, it has been a great week for women's sports. Thank you.
Thank you, Aubrey. Agenda item 3, public relations and communications, Mrs. Klein.
Blackhawk is very proud of our students' achievements, and we encourage the extracurricular activities that happen in each grade. Please visit each school's website for updates and happenings in our buildings, including holiday events and concerts. Item 3.2, when I looked at the sign-in sheet, there was nobody that had signed up to comment on any agenda items. So we can move on.
And Mrs. Klein, it does not look like there is a PSBA board representative report tonight. Is that correct? Thank you. Mrs. Mansell, no intermediate unit report either?
No report.
Thank you so much. And I also know, in talking to Mr. Huziak, that there was no Beaver County Career and Technology report as either. So we're good to go there. Could we please let the attendance record show that Dr. McCosey has joined us for the meeting. So we are, I believe, 8 of 9 at this point.
Yep, yeah, around 6:03.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to 7.1. And I'm going to ask if I could please have a motion to approve the full consent agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Zakowitz. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Shope. Is there any discussion on this motion?
So a couple things to bring up. We may see, if we look under finance, there's a replacement light base and pole proposal. This, a while ago, and Ms. Bludorn, fill me in if I need to, I believe a garbage truck hit a pole at our high school. And they are replacing and repairing that through their insurance. So the district will receive a check from their insurance. And we went through a variety of vendors to go through to repair it, obviously, and this is the recommended repair company based upon their cost, how much we are going to get from the insurance reimbursement. Obviously, we want to stay within that. So that is on the agenda.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Would you also be able to give some discussion or some clarity to any of the changes in the personnel section of the agenda too?
Certainly.
Thank you.
As you are all aware, our human resource report you do act on that weekly. So there, are some fresh names there. But also 10.2 is an agreement with the Principals Association. The Pennsylvania Principals Association offers a service for substitute principals when and if districts need it. So it's a nice agreement to have if that should arise. As you all are aware, we do have some transition within our administrative ranks occurring. And based upon 10.1 in the Human Resources Report, one may preclude that we will be needing this agreement to fill in a substitute principal if 10.1 goes as anticipated, because persons on the HR report will finish out through the year before they transition into the principalship, if that so goes that way.
So the district would be entering into a contract with the Pennsylvania Principals Association to provide a substitute principal, assistant principal,
Correct.
until the presumed hire her start date would come into effect. Is that correct?
That is exactly right. And it's a contracted service similar to our substitute teacher services, just like this.
So the person who they would recommend to serve in that position for us temporarily, would you be meeting with that person, interviewing them ahead of time?
Oh, of course.
Choose that person.
Of course, I would be recommending that person, but all of their paperwork and various things go through the Principals Association. Many times retired principals, someone that's already drawing from their pension, there's a lot of paperwork and emergency permissions from the state that they need to have in order for their pension to not be penalized when they serve in this capacity. So this association just makes sure that not only the district is doing what they need to do, but also that those persons are not penalized. So it's a nice buffer, an intermediary for that. But as soon as that is solidified, I'm sure that we will welcome that person and introduce them to the community as they will be serving, in a temporary basis in the elementary.
At this time, we are working through discussion of the full consent agenda. Is there anyone else from the board that would like to discuss any of the agenda items that we're going to be voting on? I would like to ask the board to revisit policy 328. We had some discussion about this policy last week, and I'm sure that we've all had some time to think about that policy, read through it a little bit more. Perhaps we have some additional questions as well as opinions about where we want to move forward with this policy. And in my opinion, I think we just need some more time to revisit the policy and make sure that it represents exactly what we will be doing with regards to hiring and what steps our candidates will be on based on their past experience, based on their past work experience. So I would like to recommend that we pull 328 out of voting for tonight and move it back to first read at our April meeting, so we could have some more time to talk about that.
Actually, Dr. Springer, I agree with you, and I don't know if it's appropriate. I'd like to make a motion to table that policy 328 for further discussion, review, and consideration.
Thank you, Bobby. I'm just gonna look to Kathy for a minute here. So I think we have a motion and now another motion. Can you talk us through how to move forward with that, please?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just want to make sure that I'm accurate on it.
Nope, that's okay.
Thank you.
So what you should do first is finish what you're talking about, which is the 7.1 full consent agenda. Figure out what you're pulling out of that, vote on that part, and then we'll have Bobby make her motion after that about tabling 328.
Okay, so I believe, Bobby, let's look at where it is. So I believe that's in 15.4. Is that correct? 15.3, I think.
So for right now, you pull policy,
328 out of 15.3.
right.
Is that correct, Bobby?
Right.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other discussion on any other policies?
So last week, Dr. McCosey had a question on our reduction to staff. It was suspension and furloughs, policy 311. And the question was, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it was regarding if this occurs, if a district chooses to furlough, do you have to always furlough administrators as well? And that furlough is only with economic suspension requirements, which is not the program. So I believe you gave an example of years ago. That was a program elimination. So that program elimination, there are guidelines within the first section of this policy. And it talks about the curtailment or alteration of educational programs and what steps the district has to take in order to do that. Within curtailment of educational programs, there is not a stipulation that the district also has to furlough administrators or other members of staff. That is only for economic reasons. And I believe the rationale is the state saying, if you have to go to such extremes for economic reasons, it shouldn't be isolated to just one group. The economic impact is the entire district, which is why I think that provision is for economic reasons and not program curtailment. Does that make sense?
Yes, that was the question.
There was a lot of content in last week's discussion about policies. So we're just going to pause for another minute and see if there's any other questions or clarifications to the policies other than 328. And could you say the number of the policy that you just clarified?
311.
311. Dr. Benata just reminded me that there were some maybe typos or page number corrections or date corrections. And so those have all been updated and changed for review on your iPad there. Okay. All right, so we are back to 7.1. I believe we have a motion on the table to approve the full consent agenda as presented. I believe we have Mr. Zakowitz is making the motion. Mr. Shope is the second. We've had discussion. Do we have any other discussion or questions for the full consent agenda?
I just had one question regarding policies. Did you want to discuss that now for the title changes?
Oh, yes. So next month, we will be working on finance and property. And in finance, we have a director of finance, and the title is business manager throughout most of those policies. If it pleases the board, what I would ask is that on the table where it says reviewed, no modification needed at this time, for those policies that only have a title change in it, may I put in there reviewed, no modification at this time, title change, parentheses, instead of muddying up the board docs inbox with simply a title change with many policies, if that's okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions on the full consent agenda? Okay, at this time, we'll move into the vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. If we could please show on the record that for 10.2, I, Carol Sprinker, am abstaining from the vote on 10.2. Otherwise, I approve all of the other consent agenda items. And at this time, I think we also have a motion on the table from Mrs. Mansell that we are going to table policy revision first read of 328, which is the compensation plan in the policy manual. Do we have a second on that motion? Thank you, Mrs. Klein. Any discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. This brings us to agenda 16, additional business. 16.1 is public comment on non-agenda items. The public is welcome to speak at this time, and just as a reminder, this is public comment and it won't be a question and answer time this evening. So public comment is now welcome.
I just wanted to take a moment to welcome Ms. Potts to the administrative team. This is really a night of great pride for everyone in the room because it shows that we are creating amazing graduates. Vanessa was an honor graduate here at Blackhawk. She finished college early. She came right back and started subbing for us and working. She did her principal internship with me this summer. She is one of the hardest workers I've ever met. And she has a very unique distinction. She said that when she was a child, she always wanted to be a principal, not a teacher, but a principal. And there's only one other person I know that has said that, and she might be at the table with the gavel. So Vanessa's in very good company, and I can't wait to watch her grow as a leader here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Baroni, and congratulations, Vanessa. We're gonna start a club, right?
Love them too.
Well, that might be more someday, you never know. Mark Brown, Chippewa. First, it does warm my heart to see Vanessa be hired as assistant principal tonight. We have a lot of Blackhawk graduates that work here and live here because they want to come back here. It's important. I have a question this evening. After last week's personnel report, and there were several paraprofessionals that were leaving or going on leave, I'm just wondering what we're doing to replace some of them because I haven't seen an ad in the paper, and I'm wondering if we have a plan for that.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. We will definitely have somebody contact you in the next couple of days to talk more about that. Thank you. Any other public comment this evening? Uh, 16.2, school directors. Do we have any school directors who would like to comment or have any discussion this evening? 17.1, our next meeting will be on it will be in April. Thank you, April 10th, 6:30 p.m. here in this LGI room at Highland Middle School. And at this time, could I please have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Show. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone.